Hi, my name is Jamie and today I'm going to show you guys how to make these cute crochet collars. I've made so many different color variations. You can do stripes like this one. You can do solid color with different color trim. You could do plain color the entire collar. You can do the scallop trim on the ends, or you can opt out of it. Whatever you want to make, the world is your oyster. This is yours for the making. I'm just here to show you how to make the base. If you guys want to follow my other social medias, tag me, show me what you made. I would literally love so much. I would love nothing else but to see what you guys make with this pattern. But without further ado, let's get started. For this crochet collar, I'm going to be doing this two-tone pink color variation, and then I will be following this sort of color blocking pattern. For the other two sort of color blocking patterns, I can just tell you how I did it when we get there, but I will be following sort of that green one as my base. For materials, you're gonna of course need some yarn. I'm using weight 4 acrylic, and then you're going to need a darning needle to weave in those loose ends at the end, and then we're going to need a hook. I'm using a 4.5mm hook and a pair of scissors to cut your yarn. To start, we're going to make a chain that is divisible by 4. So for me, I'm going to chain 40. And then you're gonna chain an extra 2. Now, disregarding those 2 chains we just made, you want to take your original number that you chained and divide it by 4. So I did 40, so I have 10 stitches. And so from the first original stitch, you want to count 10 and mark that stitch. And then from this end, count 10 and then mark that stitch. We are going to make 4 increases. So we're gonna increase in both of the ends, and then we're gonna increase in these 2 spots that we marked off to give us a total of 4 spots that we are increasing in. And so to start, you are going to skip 2, that will count as our first stitch, and into the 3rd stitch, make a double crochet. So here we have our first increase in the first spot, and then you're just going to double crochet down until you'll reach this first mark. I like to crochet into these back bumps instead of the front like V's that you see right here. Like instead of going in like that, I like to go on the back side of the chain and go into this back loop. I feel like in the end, it just gives you a much better, or just like a cleaner look to it, but honestly it doesn't really matter. We're going to single crochet over it anyways. Okay, I've made it to my first stitch marker. I'm gonna take it out and I'm going to put 2 double crochets into that stitch. And then I'm just gonna keep repeating this. I'm gonna double crochet regular until I reach this stitch marker, and then I'm gonna put 2 double crochets into it for an increase, and then regular double crochets, and in the last stitch, 2 double crochets. Okay, I finally made it to my last stitch, and so I'm going to put 2 double crochets in it for an increase. Now we're going to chain 2, and this counts as our first double crochet. And in that same first stitch, I'm going to add another double crochet for an increase. Now we're going to just regular double crochets until we reach the first stitch of our first increase. Okay, so I've made it to the increase. So as you look at it, you can see the 2 stitches in this 1 stitch. So we want to go into the first stitch above with a regular double crochet. And then instead of just going into this next stitch, we're going to go in the center and do our increase. So yarn over and do a double crochet in between those 2 stitches like that. And I'm gonna add another one so that there's 2 double crochets in between those 2 stitches. And then I'm gonna do my next regular double crochet in the next stitch so that as you look at it, there's 1 stitch, 2 in between, and then 1 in the second increase stitch. And now we're just going to regular double crochet until we reach our 3rd increase. I made it to the 3rd increase spot, and so again we're going to repeat what we did in this increase, and we're going to do a regular double crochet in the first stitch. Then in between both of these stitches, we're going to put 2 double crochets, and that counts as our increase. And then we're going to do regular double crochets for the rest of the stitches until we reach to the last stitch. Now just to make things clear, we have our 2 last stitches right here. So this is our second to last stitch, the regular double crochet. So you want to go into that because it gets tricky to see. Your last stitch is actually this chain 2 loop right here. It doesn't really look like the regular stitches, but you want to go into this chain right here. And it might be a little difficult if it was tighter. And then you're going to put 2 double crochets into that spot. Then you're going to chain 2. Turn your work, and we're going to repeat the same process. Another double crochet in this spot, and then increases in the next 2, and then increase in the last spot. And we're just going to keep repeating this until our color switch. So I've made it to my last stitch, and now I'm going to make a color switch to this lighter pink color. And so in the top of the chain 2, I'm going to put 1 regular double crochet, and then I'm going to do another double crochet for our increase, but I'm only going to pull through the first 2 stitches. So yarn over, go through, pull up a loop. So now we have 3 stitches on our hook, and I'm going to pull through the first 2, and then I'm going to let go of this color and grab my second color and make a slip knot. Some people don't like to make slip knots, but I feel like this adds more security rather than just pulling the color on. And I'm going to add it to my hook, and I'm going to pull this color through these top 2 stitches, and then pull this dark color tight, and then I'm going to trim them so that they're same length. And then I'm going to make a couple knots so that it's really secure. And then I'm going to chain 2 and continue the next 2 rows like normal with my 4 increases. Okay, so I just finished my 6th row, and I did my last increase in the stitch, and now we're going to move on to the scallop trim on the bottom, as well as the border and the neckties. So we're looking at the bottom of our neckline. So what we're gonna do is chain 2 and turn our work, and then you're going to add 3 more double crochets into this first stitch. And then you're going to skip 1, and into the second stitch do a slip stitch. So that's our first scallop, and now you're going to do 4 more double crochets into this next stitch. You're going to skip the first stitch and slip stitch into the second. And then you're going to do 4 double crochets in the next. And we're just going to keep repeating this to the end. For my last scallop, I like to put it in the very end, and so as you can see there's only 2 stitches, so I'll do my 4 stitches into this one. And then I'll just do a slip stitch into the top of that chain too. So that's all the scallops for the bottom of the collar. Now we're going to do the single crochet along the end and our chains for the neckline. So with your yarn still attached, you're going to do a single crochet up the side. I literally just put my hook in wherever. I like to do in between the chain spaces, and you could count, you can do whatever, like just single crochet up the side. There's no exact science to it. When I come across these 2 strands that I've cut, I like to single crochet over them. So I'll put my hook in between a stitch, and so you can see the strands are in between this loop and this, so I'll yarn over, pull through, and they'll be in between. So I'll put my hook underneath them, and then I'll like single crochet over them, and then I'll put them behind me, and then I'll just keep single crocheting, because then later that makes it easier to weave in and takes much less time. Did a single crochet into this top stitch right here where the knot is, and then we're going to chain 51. So I chained my 51, and like I told you guys, I don't like to go into the front of the chain like that. Instead, I turn it on its back and I go into these back bumps right here like that. It just gives it a much nicer look. And so we're going to skip this first stitch and go into the second and do a single crochet. And we're just going to do single crochets all the way down the chain until we run into where we first started. I just finished single crocheting down the chain, and I'm going to make another single crochet into the same spot where we did our last one, just to reconnect the chain back to the collar. And then I'm just going to do a single crochet all the way down until we reach the end of this corner. And like before, I have this strand, so I'm going to single crochet over it so that it's less work for us to do in the end, and I do like 2 or 3 double crochets over it, and then I put it behind me, and then I just keep going. So I've made it to this corner. I'm going to do my last single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 51 again, and then we're just going to repeat what we did for this other strap. Chain 51, single crochet back down. I made it back down my second chain, and so same thing before, I'm going to single crochet into this same stitch, and then we're going to single crochet down until we meet this first scallop. And so once I get right here, I'll single crochet into the like first chain of that scallop, and I'll do a slip stitch, and then chain 1, pull up, cut your yarn. Now your collar is almost finished. We just have to weave in all of our ends. When you look at your collar, the front side is the side where the scallops are more flat and like sunken in, kind of. They look like this. And then the back side is where they look more bubbly. So the back side is where I weave the ends in, just so the front looks more clean. So I'm gonna put the yarn through my needle like this. And for the threads that we didn't crochet over, this is how I weave it in. I'll go through like 3 to 5 stitches. Pull the needle through. And then I'll skip the first stitch and then go through the rest of them again. And this, like, for sure secures your yarn. It like should not come undone. You pull and tug on it, it's good. For the threads that we did crochet over, you only need to just skip the stitch, the first stitch, and go through the rest. So it's much quicker. Same thing with these ones. I single crocheted over them, so I just need to pull it through some loops one time. So I skip the first one and go through the rest. And I think that's all my threads. So next thing to do is just tie her up, put her on, and you're all set. That is how you crochet a collar. How to do these colorways is probably self-explanatory, but I'm still gonna explain it to you just in case you want me to. So how I did this one is I did 6 rows, plain color, no color changes of the yellow. And then once I got to the bottom of the last row, I changed my color into the pink, did my scallops, single crocheted up the side, did the straps and all of that. And then for this one, I did 1, 2, 3 rows of this mustard, yellow, orange, 1 row of the burgundy, 1 row of the yellow, and then switched to the red and did all the trimming in the red. And then of course this one is the same as the one I just showed you, but colors are reversed. I did light and then dark. So to put on the collar, you can wear it multiple different ways. I like to wear it like underneath a hood or another collar, so you can like zip it up. You could put it underneath a shirt with a collar. You could wear it over top a dress, whatever you want. It doesn't need to be underneath something else. But I just like put it under this hood, for example. And I'll like tie it nice and tight. Do a bow. And then I have like a collar underneath my hoodie. Also, there's this way where you could put it underneath like a jean jacket, another shirt like I said, wear it by itself. Yeah, like whatever you want. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it was very easy and straightforward to follow, and happy crocheting!